Yo, oops, shit. Hey, everybody. What I'm going to show you here is my work process for making my comic that I'm going to launch in the next few weeks. Ryan the Wretch. Hopefully, at least one person is interested in how I go about doing it. So I'm going to start off with my tools. This is my folder, but I'm going to show you a few of my tools that I use. I draw the comics with just a regular HB or H pencil. Outline them with Prisma microns, an 05 usually, sometimes an 03, and 1 to like fill stuff in. And this is how a page usually looks. These are 3 newer ones that you will see in the first few weeks after the launch. Other things I use, just standard ass ruler, tiny little baby ruler, very special, cool order from Amazon. My loyal pencil sharpener I've had since I was like 10 probably. And this little stub of an eraser. Drink of choice, Guru. Good stuff. Other drink of choice, water. Keeps me going, keeps the energy flowing. But what I'm going to show you here is just kind of how I organize my workflow. You know, I've put a lot of effort in to laying the foundation for making the comic, so that later on I can kind of just draw the comic, draw a new page, and color it nice and quick. So this is the folder that I have. I got my new comics here, all kind of colored and ready to go. I'm not going to show you those because those are going to be a surprise. But what I will show you is the original comic, which is a comic that I completed back in like I think 2010 maybe, but maybe 2011. But I didn't color it until, you know, starting in the new year of this year. So shit. But here we go. So this is what a finished panel looks like. Okay, this is a flattened layer I've created. This is a white background, and then I'll take that, just flatten it into a JPEG and upload it to the net. But this is kind of the meat and bones of it here. Okay, this is I'll get rid of that shit so you can see what's going on. This is the key layer, which is just, you know, it's all the black lines. That's how the original page looked, basically, after, you know, adjusting curves and stuff like that to get rid of any leftover pencil marks. And then all of the coloring is organized into these folders. So I've got folders for the letters, so the stuff like the caption boxes, the spikes. You know, you can kind of see it all once you take it away. It all kind of, you know, some stuff is so very subtle, but together it kind of it really adds up to make a nice finished product. But you see, I get pretty detailed here. I go down, I have the clock. The clock is actually 3 colors: a color for the glass, a color for the darker shading, a color for the clock. I mean, some of this stuff I'm going to turn into effects later. You know, it's my first time sort of going through and coloring this whole thing, so I'm sure some of the shading and stuff like that can be done in a better way, or a more efficient way, but eventually, you know, I'll get around to it. For now, like, this is great. But you can see I go all the way down. You've got, you know, I've got Ryan himself. Shit. His Speedo, his eyes, his mouth, his body, you know, and there's like very, very subtle details that you'll see, like in the teeth, just little outlines, little tiny stuff like that. And I mean, if you're looking at it up close, you can definitely tell. If you kind of pull back maybe it's a little bit more subtle, but altogether the amalgamation of all these like little tiny details, I think makes for a really beautiful final product. Now, to sort of keep track of, I don't know what's going on here. To sort of keep track of all this stuff, I've created a series of swatches. Now, originally I sort of started with Ryan, Sadie, Wes, and the Vagrant, were the four characters in the original comic, and you know, I had just their colors. So Wes, that's him, and Wes is, I think he shows up on the third page here. Okay, so that's all the colors that are in Wes. Ryan, same sort of thing. Ryan, I think Ryan has the most colors, maybe, or Sadie has the most colors because she's got a bunch of jewelry and stuff. But you see, there's 3 tones to the skin. You got the tone for the nails, 2 tones for the nipples, 2 tones for the hair, 2 tones for the gums, teeth, tongue, iris, the sclera, which is the white of the eye, for stoned eyes when he gets high, 2 colors for the bags, the color for the tears, 2 for the Speedo, 2 for the shoes, 2 for the soles of the shoes. I mean, so that gives you the general idea of things in terms of coloring. But this is, you know, that amount of colors for Ryan, even more for Sadie, maybe a little bit less for the Vagrant, the colors for Wesley. Then you have the accessories, stuff like smoking, a bong, cigarettes, a joint, a lighter, food. You got a bread, burger, chips, chocolate, pizza, soda. There's stuff for gore, for like tins. The inside, you know, every piece of furniture, every sort of wall and surface is a little bit different, and on top of that, it has shading. I mean, the TV alone, I think, has, you know, 4 different tones in it. I guess that's not a lot, but it really gives some more dimension to the comic, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like I hope it really shows, anyways. But you can see on some of these larger sequence ones that you know, there's a lot of little detail that goes into it, and there's a lot of texture and stuff that's applied. There's styles that I apply to certain layers, like I mean, like the sidewalk, the grass, that sort of once they're put behind the key layer itself, the key black layer, you know, that very overt vertical line in the pattern of the grass kind of you know, it gets hidden behind the key, but you'll see if I take away that effect, it really flattens things out. It's just about the subtlety, man. It changes so much. And that's why, you know, this took me a really long time, and a lot of, you know, it was a big pain in the ass, and I spent so long just sort of deciding when I was done. But there's all these sort of subtleties that kind of bring the world to life, make it a little bit more real, and make it hopefully something that, you know, well, it is something I enjoyed making, but hopefully it's something that you guys enjoy consuming. So, you know, maybe you've seen this original comic, maybe you haven't. This will be one of the first things that gets launched with the site. I mean, this is one of my favorite pages because it has 3 characters on it. It's got some nice close-ups and stuff like that. But you can really see there's some nice detail. I mean, even in the iris, little things. Every little thing, every little detail makes a difference, and hopefully brings the project alive, makes it fun for you to look at, and you know, makes it a worthwhile endeavor. So and here is a lot of the styles. I mean, you know, not everything has a style, but a lot of stuff, especially background stuff, to give it kind of a texture and to set it aside from to separate it from the characters. It, you know, I think it really makes a difference. Some of the things that, you know, I did along the way, I'd get coloring instructions for myself. You know, so for the skin, how I remove parts of certain layers is I use the lasso tool and then feather the layer itself. There, you know, there's lots of really sort of, it was a big process. And I think, you know, the amount of time that I put into it shows and really kind of, you know, heightens the whole story, heightens the connection to the characters and the feeling that this is like a, you know, a plausible reality, I guess. A plausible cartoon reality. That makes a lot of fucking sense. What a dummy. But you know, it takes shots like this along the way, so I know like how to refine an edge, like using the refined edge tool, separate the numbers and stuff like that into like a PSD file. Um, you know, there's all sorts of little stuff. This is my workspace here. This is what I've been using to color it, which is a Wacom or Wacom. That's the thing about this company. I have no idea how to pronounce any of their shit. Wacom, Cintiq or Cintiq 21UX to color, which is basically just like a large drawing tablet. You can see the pen for it right there. There's my water bottle. There's my magic mouse and my keyboard, my headphones that I use. I usually have these two lamps lit up at night just so I'm, you know, the glare, or not the glare, but the intensity of the screen. There's just, you know, it's nice to have lights behind the screen so it's not like hurting my eyes. I'm not like focusing too hard because I am looking, you know, I have hundreds of hours spent looking at this screen and it can be kind of a pain in the ass. And then I have a stand for my laptop to kind of prop it up, make it the same height or at least eye level. I'm not looking down at it while I'm working. But that's my workspace. It's a nice little corner. Got this blanket on my chair to keep warm. Had this desk since I was like maybe 10, but used it for silkscreen table at times, all sorts of different shit. The final thing, I guess, is the little movie I made. I mean, maybe that's not even worth looking at. I just made this when I was bored one day of looking at the comic, and I made it in After Effects using a plugin I think called. Actually, I'm not even gonna guess. I made it using a special plugin and using the original front cover, which I had used, and maybe I still will use as an icon on the website itself. The end thing I'm not going to use. I read something the other day that's like, oh, if you get to the end of a comic, if you get to the end of a story and you have to say the end, then you didn't tell the story well enough. People should just kind of know it's the end. And I think, you know, so I think that was redundant. I'm going to ditch that. The last thing I guess I'll show you is the little favicon that I made for the site. Um, well, I mean, you know, I just used the head from one of the first pages. And then, ooh, busted. And then it's up here. Little favicon, Ryan the Wretch. This is like a real rough draft of the site. All the divisions are like, instead of just being here, it's all the way across. So I gotta fix that. But, you know, it gives you an idea of kind of where it's going. And this was before it was finished, you know. You can see the shading's not there. The shading's not, like, there's all sorts of shit that's missing. The TV, like, you know, it really makes, I can't emphasize like how much all those subtle little things make a huge difference. But anyways, if you made it to the end of this video, that's pretty cool. Hopefully you understand that you know, big projects like this are completely doable. Anyone can kind of take this on. It's just about persevering. Like, keep doing it, man. Keep working hard. That's the other thing too. I got a bunch of actions to now, you know, now instead of sitting there having to color all this, select the color, this and that, I kind of can just go in and select my key layer and then click a button and it fills it in. I mean, it doesn't do it completely, But I have, you know, after kind of taking on this whole project, spending all the time laying the groundwork, I have definitely, you know, also spent the time to make it so these tasks are expedited in the future, and I can kind of produce these comics and bring them to you, bring new comics to you on, you know, a single page comic to you on a weekly basis is the goal, without having to redo everything over again, you know. Anyways, hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you're looking forward to the comic. If you're into it, please donate. It helps me kind of a lot more time to making the comic, making it better, putting, you know, all my heart and energy into it, and hopefully making you guys laugh at Ryan and how much of a piece of shit he is. So, anyways, peace.